July the 8th, 2026, a ceasefire that took months to build collapsed in a matter of hours. What followed was one of the most volatile weeks in the Middle East in over a decade. American bombers over Iranian soil, missiles falling on U.S. bases in the Gulf, and a president threatening to charge ships money just to sail through one of the most important waterways on Earth. This is how the Iran War of 2026 reignited, and why nobody knows how it ends.
To understand this week, you have to go back to February the 28th, 2026. That was the day the United States and Israel launched a coordinated strike against Iran. A strike so precise, it killed Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, within hours of the first missile. It was the opening move of what analysts now call the 2026 Iran War, a conflict that pulled in Israel, the Gulf Arab states, Lebanon, and eventually, directly, the United States military. Iran responded the way it always warned it would, with a wave of missiles and drones, launched not in one direction, but across the entire region, at Israel, at American bases, at the Gulf states that had, in Tehran's eyes, sided with Washington. Within weeks, the war had a human cost in the thousands and a displacement crisis in the millions.
By April, both sides were exhausted enough to talk. A 2-week ceasefire took hold on April the 8th. It didn't survive contact with reality. Israel struck targets in Lebanon. Iran refused to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and by mid-April, the United States had imposed a full naval blockade of its own. Diplomacy tried again. On June the 17th, in the Palace of Versailles, President Trump signed a memorandum meant to end the war. Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, signed his half in Tehran the same day. For a moment, it looked like the war was over.
It lasted 3 weeks. On July the 8th, Iran allegedly struck multiple commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the 21-mile choke point that carries roughly a fifth of the world's oil. The United States responded immediately, striking Iranian territory. Iran hit back at American bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. Within 48 hours, the U.S. military said it had carried out over 170 strikes on Iranian soil. President Trump made it official in a single sentence on social media. The ceasefire, he wrote, was over. By the second week of July, the fighting had a new shape. Iran's Revolutionary Guard began firing on tankers again, this time hitting 2 vessels the UAE said were struck in Omani waters. The U.S. answered by resuming its blockade of Iranian ports, and Trump went further. He announced that ships wanting safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz would now have to pay the United States for it. Oil markets reacted instantly. Crude jumped more than 9% in a single day, the sharpest spike since April. Analysts at Wells Fargo warned that as long as the strait stays this volatile, higher oil prices, higher inflation, and market swings are here to stay. The fallout spread far beyond Iran and Israel. Jordan's air defenses intercepted missiles fired toward its territory. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the UAE all reported incoming fire or direct attacks. And in the middle of it, Pakistan, one of the few countries with working channels to both Washington and Tehran, pushed publicly for restraint, urging all sides to return to the terms of the June memorandum. Behind closed doors, American officials admitted they were deliberately striking, then pausing, to give diplomacy a chance to work, while keeping a target list ready in case it didn't.
So where does this leave the war? Satellite imagery shows Iran quietly rebuilding at sites like Parchin and Pickaxe Mountain, the same facilities the U.S. and Israel bombed months earlier. Washington's public terms for real peace are blunt. Iran must declare the Strait of Hormuz permanently open and hand over its enriched uranium. Tehran hasn't agreed to either. And at home, American support for the war is thin. Barely a quarter of the public believes it's been worth the cost, even as the price tag climbs past $100 billion. A ceasefire brought this war close to an end once. It didn't hold. Whether the next one will is the question the entire region is waiting on. Where every conflict has a cause, every border has a cost, and every war leaves something behind.